I'm excited to show you guys what's new today in QuickBooks Desktop 2023. We do this webinar every year. Let's get into product. So every year I share with this phrase that I hear from Intuit on what they're trying to get across to us with the newest version. So this year it is enhance visibility and control to help power your business with QuickBooks Desktop 2023. Okay, I love the fact that they're saying enhance visibility because everything in our QuickBooks file for ourselves, if it's our business, or for our customers, should be about getting data. Right? This is why we put data and information in a system so that we can report on the data. So more visibility is always important, and then more controls. I mean, I think that that's just a buzzword and always in our industry, in the accounting industry, right? So powerful words here. What we're going to be going over today, we're going to talk about some changes to pricing. I'm going to approach that topic carefully. We're going to be talking about some changes to multiple company files, some inventory changes, and then also some additional ancillary benefits that come in play there. All right, learning objectives for today. We want to be able to identify the new features in the QuickBooks Enterprise 2023 desktop. And then we want to identify the new features of the QuickBooks Pro Plus and Premier Plus 2023 products as well. Okay, so to walk away from here, being able to hopefully talk to customers about these things. It's coming up to be, year end, the next tax season is upon us, all those things. So maybe when we're talking to customers, we can help them to recognize what the software they already pay for can actually do for them. Okay, so let's talk about price changes. I don't know if everybody has seen the new price changes for Pro Plus and Premier Plus, but it's a pretty significant difference, right? So this is MSRP that I'm talking about today, and so there is supposed to be a couple changes that are coming up. So let me just take you through this. A Pro single user last year, MSRP, was $349.99. A Pro single user as of yesterday, or when 2023 comes out for the end user, is $549, so 157% markup. Now, the thing to consider with this, a couple things. I don't want to just be the bearer of bad news today. I was talking about this earlier. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I want to think about some of the positives. So first of all, but I also want you guys to have awareness. A Pro one user was $349.99, but it was always on sale somewhere, right? Costco or Fourlane or Office Depot or wherever. Amazon, you could always find it on sale somewhere. What I'm being told this year is that we won't have it on sale in any channel. It will be MSRP in all channels. So as an example, on our website, we were selling it a Pro 1 user for $199.99. In the new world, we are supposed to be only selling for $549. So it's more than 150% markup, right? 157% markup or jump, because people were used to also being able to buy at a discount. Okay. Now, again, this is also subscription because there's subscription only. So awareness is key. Awareness is key through all of this. All right. So it's positive spin on this. The way that I talk to my customers about it is, first of all, up until last year, they could buy this software usually once every 3 years. That was paying $199 or $149 or wherever it was 3 years ago, every 3 years, right? That's how it used to be. So they trained their customers to pay a low amount, but let's be real, QuickBooks was worth way more than that to companies, because we have to look at what is their alternative. What's the alternative out there? Is way more than $140, $150, $200 every 3 years. Starting last year, they went into subscription. Now I have to pay $120 $99 every year, $350 every year. But we have to see what is the alternative, right? Because Intuit was able to handle these prices for a long time because of their volume, but it costs money to run a business, as we all know. And this should be the heart of your business, right? This is the thing when all things go wrong in business, we resort back to is our accounting file so that we can see the data so we can make good decisions. So hopefully, even at $550 a year, people can understand the value of this product. Okay, the value that this product brings to their business. So hopefully we can make sure customers understand that. Awareness is key though, right? So I just wanted you guys to be aware of these big price hikes and what's coming out. All right, so I just wanted to throw out there Plus, or Premier Plus. So Premier Plus changing, old was $549.99. I think we had it listed on our website for $350 or $390. New price is $799 for Premier One user. So things to consider with these changes. Again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but awareness is key. We just need to know what's coming about so we can know how to handle it when our customers come to talk to us about it, or when our bosses come to talk to us about it, and when we're setting up our budgets, what do we need to expect? So things to consider with these price changes. We can be taking a look at QBO as an option. I know a lot of people have come to me in the last year and said, why are you mostly supporting desktop clients? And the reason is because QBO is not always ready, right, for my desktop clients. I do a lot of heavy inventory manufacturing, wholesale distribution, which we're going to be talking about a lot of this inventory stuff today. For my customers who can use QBO, we have been moving them up into that space. Okay, so it's good to take a look at it as if it's an option, right? Still have some struggles with job costing, some little things in there. The other option is to discuss Enterprise. Enterprise is still the top product in this space. I know it's more expensive, but you get more things with it. So be talking to our customers about the Enterprise options. And then there is looking to alternatives to QuickBooks. I think it's always good for those people who have been QuickBooks Pro advisors, supporters for years and never looked at some of these outside products, diversifying at all. This might be a good time to take a look too, because not only because it reinforces our belief that what we're paying for in this space is way more valuable than the cost that we're being charged, right? Like, so what we get is way more valuable. Okay, guys, let's go ahead back into the slide deck here. Okay, I saw a couple questions. So it said prices just quoted, do they include payroll? So no, those don't include any payroll subscriptions, those pricing. And then somebody asked, is QBO QuickBooks Online? Yes, QuickBooks Online, QBO. And then somebody asked if I was going to be discussing the accountant price changes. And so no, I wasn't going to talk about the Pro Advisor price changes here. If you're a Pro Advisor, I'm sure you've seen those as well. Big price hike. Okay, so let's get into next. Mid-year update. Some things that came out mid-year and also some things that came out actually prior to this year, but we never talked about it, so I'm just going to cover them. So first is purchase order approvals. So I'm going to dive in product here so we can take a look at this. So most of the time, I'm trying to spend as much time as possible in product, okay? So in here, inside of QuickBooks for purchase order approvals, we talked about approvals being launched last year. And so when we come in and go to company, and you have your setup approval processes down below. Now, when I did this, what's new last year, right? The only thing that was set up in here was a bill approval process, but they dropped in the purchase order approval process as well. So this is QuickBooks Enterprise only. Okay. So if I choose purchase orders and I say set up here, Then a couple things to note. Again, only one approval process can be activated for this kind of transaction, so you can't have multiple purchase order approval steps currently. And then only one approver as well. So we have down below here the conditions. It can be based on an amount. So if the purchase order is above 5,000 as an example, and the vendor is within, right, some of these or not within, you can select different vendors, or maybe you can say the vendor type is of this certain vendor type, then we want to add an approval. Now, most of the time with our customers, when we're setting this up, we don't get into the additional conditions because you can only have one approval, right? So for now, those additional conditions are really nice, but it will narrow down. For now, most of the time, our customers have been just choosing amount greater than or equal to and setting a threshold that they feel comfortable with. Then down below here, we say who will approve, right, these purchase orders. And then they get an email, and you can modify the email slightly if you need to. I don't want to get too deep into this because we looked at it last year. If you missed it, we definitely have our What's New 2022 out there as well. All right, coming back in here, you can just pop through the slide deck, and we do have this slide deck set up for you guys to follow. The next mid-year update was set quantity to 0. So this actually was released in R4 2021, so it was a long time ago, but I missed it, and I am baffled that I missed this. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. So I'm putting some vulnerability out there that I totally missed this feature. So when we come into inventory and we just adjust our inventory, and you have your quantity adjustment here, right? You choose quantity. We have this little box now, and it says set quantity to 0, which is awesome because you can come in and mass add, right? Like select all, add selected items, and mass set quantity to 0. When would we do something like this? So I've had clients a lot of times who just have complete messes of inventory and they need to reset. I want to go all the way to 0, bring my quantity to 0, value to 0, reset. Now with that happening, when I want to set quantity to 0, you have to hit set quantity to 0. It'll take a second here to fill in because I have quite a few items. And then you also have to come in and flip it over at that point before saving to total quantity and total value, and 0 out the value as well. Now they don't have a mass button for 0 out value, but you can use that quantity. So you notice how set quantity to 0 is here when I say quantity, and then quantity, when I do quantity and total value, it opens up that value field. You need to look at the value field too, because sometimes even when you set the quantity to 0, the value will hold some kind of value in there. Now, the other thing that I noted was that when I was doing my testing here, notice some of them didn't go to 0, and I couldn't figure out why. I was thinking maybe because they had lot numbers added to them. I couldn't figure out why. So anyway, just have some awareness in there. Awareness is key. So I wanted to bring that up. The other thing that they added to was the lot numbers. So for so cleanup, right? This is usually doing this a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, before I go on to this one. Back into quantity here, some other reasons why I've seen people set quantity to 0 is they decide to use an app add-on, something that is going to take over their inventory. Okay, so they go into an app where the app will manage their inventory instead of it being managed in QuickBooks, so they'll mass set their quantity to 0. Other times I've seen it was when people decide not to manage inventory anymore. Maybe they sell off their manufacturing part of their business, or they move the manufacturing part of their business to its own company. They push it over there. And so in this file, we need to get rid of inventory, turn it all off. And you can't just go in and make it inactive, right? If they have quantity and value, you've got to go in and zero it out. So the second thing is lot number. Second thing is lot number. A lot of times people turn on lot numbers, serial numbers, and then they don't end up using them very effectively, especially serial numbers. I still think that serial numbers is kind of pointless. For most companies, they shouldn't turn it on because it just adds weight to your QuickBooks file. But you have the ability to come in here too, right? Select whatever items, and you can remove lot numbers. So this is, I'm going to turn off lot numbers because I should have never turned it on in the first place. This is a great way to do some cleanup there. So again, this was released in R4 2021, 2 years ago, but I missed it. So I wanted to bring it up to you guys in case you missed it too. Okay, let's move on. Now we're going to go into the first feature of 2023, and I'm super excited about this. This has been the #1 ask for years, and I've seen them working on this for the last 2 or 3 years, so I'm super excited about it. Intercompany transactions. Woohoo! So everybody going to do dance with me? I had a slide from last year where we had a dancing slide, and I feel like I need to have it for this one too. Okay, intercompany transactions, what are they? So they're transactions that happen in one company file that are the responsibility or benefit of another company file. Okay. Some examples of intercompany transactions that we've seen. Holding company that manages several medical practices, right? So there's a company and they are responsible for all the medical practices because you know those doctors or those dentists, they don't want to do all the things. So all the bills flow through the holding company, and then the holding company distributes the expenses to each of the medical practices' separate files. A franchisor that manages several franchises, right? So they have several franchises that fall under their umbrella as opposed to being a franchisee's umbrella. And the franchisor does not want to have to log into every single file to do accounts payable, nor do all the companies that they work with want to send a bill to every single location. They want to send one giant bill. Manufacturing company that sells to separate entities who then wholesale. Restaurant groups that has shared employees. Okay. I'm not going to read through this whole list, but this is just some examples. You guys can see this in the slide. Some examples of when people use this. So, intercompany transactions has been launched in QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum, Diamond, and Accountant editions. Okay, so those are the editions where this is available. And I'm going to dive in product and take you through what it all does. Let me get out of this. And I have this screen as pink so I can remember which file I'm in because I'm going to be logging into 2 separate files. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to actually set up a second company file. So I'm going to pretend that my Fourlane webinars file here is the holding company. And I'm going to set up a second file to be my subsidiary, okay? So we're going to do new company from existing company file. I'm going to take my Fourlane webinars file, enter a new name. So this is going to be sub 4. I've been testing this quite a bit, and save it. Now that company name matters because this feature, like a lot of the features with QuickBooks lately, right, the new features of QuickBooks, does require your Intuit account username and password to access. That's how we link the files together, okay? So you will only be able to see your subsidiary accounts if you're using the same username and password when you're setting up the linking between the 2 files. So for myself, who has a lot of clients, I can't use my name and password in my client files. I have to use their Intuit account name and password, do the setup with them. I can't set it up on their behalf. My accounts tend to be kind of chaotic anyway, because I've got too many clients in there. So it's just bringing over some new data into, or some data into the new company file. It just brings over the chart of accounts and a couple other lists, right? So that we can get this started. When I was doing my testing, this only took a couple seconds. So today, when I have everything shut down, actually, it's taking longer. Hopefully you guys have done this before too, right? You can set up a company file from another one. It doesn't bring very much across. And a lot of times I've seen it error out too, right? Like if you have build assemblies or anything in the files. Okay. So a couple things with this feature that are important to note is that you can have like a second company file open. So in QuickBooks Enterprise and the Accountant's Editions of QuickBooks, you can have a second company file open at the same time, right, as your main company file. So that feature is very helpful when you're setting this up. Okay, so the first thing it asked me to do when I set up a new company file is it says, hey, would you like to, are you the admin, right? Or are you somebody working on behalf of the admin? So this is where I want to choose that I am the admin who manages this company file. I want to use an email address that is the client's email, not use my email address for them, not on mine on their behalf, okay? Because you're going to have all your clients using this. And let me go ahead and do this real quick. All right, and get logged in. I just wasn't sure if it was going to show my password. And now I'm logged in. Okay, so when you come into your company and your users, right, you have your Intuit account user management. You can go in and verify things through there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and open up my second company file. No QuickBooks. You're not going to do this while I'm on a webinar. Okay, that's just opening. It just wanted to give me a warning. Also, too, if you guys see some of these, I'm still in beta versions whenever I'm running these webinars because I get my beta version to work, and then the actual live version comes out, right, yesterday. So I never switch off of my beta version because I just am too scared to. So I'm logged into my second company file here, my pink one that we saw before for Fourlane webinars. Now this is my holding company, right? So we're going to take, this is my holding company, and then this sub 4 is one of my subsidiaries. So I can come in here to company and look at that. Intercompany transactions. That's like the most exciting thing I've ever seen. There are a lot of questions coming in, so I'll definitely have some time to get to some of your questions here shortly. Okay, so now that I'm logged in and I see this, now you can see again, this is one of those dashboards that it uses the Intuit account sits on top of. It doesn't look like some of the other centers in product. Has a refresh button up here, so you want to be aware of that. The first time you log in, you will not see all of these. This is because I actually have some connections already set up. But what you want to do is you want to come in here and create a relationship, okay? Gives you some things to note. Make sure the destination company file is already created, right? So check, I did that. And make sure that you share the same Intuit account user. All right, now when I logged in, right, because I'm in as mine, I would be able to see all accounts in here that I have access to that I can set up an intercompany relationship with. So if you do not see the accounts here, some of the troubleshooting that you should do is go into each file and go to that Intuit account user management, try to see if they're using the same username and password. Okay. I'm just going to select the sub company 4 here, and then I have to scroll down on the page and hit continue. Now it's saying in my current company in Fourlane webinars, which accounts will I be using when I do intercompany transactions with sub 4? So my due from account, this would be due from sub 4. Which account do I want to use? Okay, so I can come in here and add it, or I can select one that's already available, which I thought I already had one in here. So where is it? Nope. Fixed asset, current, fixed asset, liability. I don't know where they went. Awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and create it. And so you say due from, right, should be an other current asset, or and then due to would be an other current liability. I'm going to say due from sub 4, save and close. Now notice when I do the due from, it kicks me out, so I have to create the relationship again. Sub 4, continue. Now I can choose due from sub 4. A lot of times in these, with these subsidiary companies, most of my clients do not do due from and due to. They kind of just merge them together, right? So the expectation would be this is the holding company. I'm running all bills from this company or for the subsidiary through this company. It will always be a receivable for the most part in this company file. So you can choose the due from in both sections, due from and due to. Okay. Such as to say, if they owe money to you back, where would it be going? I'm going to have it all flow through one account for this setup. You can choose to have separate accounts if you want to. Okay. And then you hit send request. So the request is sent for approval. This request is saying, hey, subsidiary for company file, can I access you? So in here, right, this sub 4, this is a pending request that I have sent for approval in the relationships area. Okay. Then the next thing that I do is I go flip on over to this file, and I'm going to change the view to my top icon bar because I just can't function with that blue bar on the side still. And I come down to Intercompany Transactions. Now, if I had this open already, one of the things you have to remember is you have to use that refresh, right? I have the refresh over here in the corner. So if you had it open already and you don't see the relationship trying to be formed here, you have to hit that refresh. So down below here, again, I'm in the Relationships tab. There's 2 tabs, Relationships and Transactions. And I have a request from Fourlane Webinars to have a relationship with this file, and I can either approve or reject it. So I'm going to go ahead and approve it. Okay. On this side, it says, which account would you like to use? Now, funny, this one has it. Who knows? And this one should be due from, or no, due to. I'm sorry, but the due to should be another current liability. I don't know. I've been playing around with this for so long. So on this side, it should be another current liability. Right, but it should be called due to. So I don't know what's happening in my files here. So I'm just going to run them both through. Okay, and then approve the relationship. Now, in this case, we can go back and forth, right? You can set transactions here and send them back there, but in my example that I'm talking through is this is the holding company, and I'm sending transactions over to the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh here. When I hit refresh, now the relationship that's left outstanding, right? It's not there anymore. And then I can look at my transactions, and I have nothing here because I haven't done anything yet. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So a couple things to note. This is not on every transaction. Right now, it's on bills, and it's on checks. So I'm going to do the bill process first. When I come in and enter a bill, this is in my holding company. When I come here and enter a bill, notice that I have the intercompany transaction up top here. All right. If I start putting the bill in here, a bill in here, and I go, oh, criminy, that was supposed to be an intercompany transaction, and I click here, it's going to tell me, nope, you got to start over again. Okay, so it has to be a clear transaction, and then you hit intercompany. Okay, it gives you a warning. You can only add one line item with an intercompany transaction. So it's pretty simple, right? No inventory parts, no service items, anything like that. And it's literally only one line right now. A couple things also. Notice that it gives you the status over here on the side. It drops the account field, or I'm sorry, it adds the company field and drops the account field over to the side. Okay, so I'm going to choose a vendor, vendor A. put in the date. I can put in a reference number. I always like to pay attention to these things. Put in an amount. Memo, top memo. Down below here, I can select which company am I connecting to. So we did the sub 4. It defaults the account for me. Put the $5,000 in here. I put in line memo. Right. And that transaction's put in. Now, if I go look at, I'm just going to give you, before I hit the intercompany, let's take a look at a check, right? So some of the other fields that are available when you're looking at a check. So customer job, account, amount. I guess I don't have classes turned on. Use class tracking, classes, right? You have the class field when you have class tracking turned on in here, so that's good. And then we can say save. Okay, so now I have this bill in my file here. If I go into my transaction journal and I look at what it's doing, it's hitting accounts payable, which we would expect, and then it's hitting due from Subsidiary 4. Pretty straightforward, exactly what we expect it to do. If I go in and modify this transaction, it's going to give me, a whole bunch of errors. It is pending right now. Okay, so it's pending. So we'll look at modify and reject in just a second. Back in my Subsidiary 4 file now, I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh. And I can look at my transactions. I now have a transaction in here, okay? And it says pending my approval, so I could look at pending my approval, rejected, approved, sent for approval, if I've sent any to them. It says the bill is received from Fourlane webinars. Going to go to this account for vendor A, and I have to select an expense account for it to go to. Now notice a couple things. There's not like view bill. There's no attachments that are brought across. You have to kind of understand what's happening on this side. So my best case scenario workflow for people as of right now is that you have 2 company files open, you send it on across, and then you choose the expense account on this side, right? Just boom, boom, do it at the same time. Or put in a whole bunch of bills here, boop, 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 boop. Come in and go through all the expenses, boop, 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 and then hit approve. So our options are we can approve or reject. Those are 2 options. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this. All right, so that transaction goes into the approved transactions. And I can view it now, so it opens it up, and it is a journal entry on this side. Okay. Notice the memo it picks up is vendor A comes into the memo here, so we can modify and add it over there if we need to. But this is the resulting transaction. Okay, so I'm going to do real quick one more. I'll do it as a check, and I'm going to reject it this time. So just so we have awareness on some of the things. So of course I have to clear it first. Click Intercompany Transactions. I'm going to do it for vendor B this time. And I have Subsidiary 4 in the amount of $1,200. Okay. I'm going to add a new class this time. Put A, class A over there. And I'm going to turn on classes in this file as well. I have to do that earlier. Okay, so I have class A in here. I say save. Okay. Now it goes into a pending status. When I come into my Subsidiary 4 and I hit refresh, I have the pending my approval. So I can come in here and go, oh, I do not want this anymore. I need to reject it. Okay. Yes, I'm going to reject it. So it does not post in my company file at all. I can go in and see my rejected list if I want to. Okay. Then when I come back into my main file and I hit refresh, I can see my rejected transactions right? So here's this $1,200 one. I can view it. It says rejected. And then usually what we're doing is we're voiding this transaction and then putting in a new transaction instead. Okay. I know we have a whole bunch of questions that came in across from this. So I'm going to flip through some of this slide deck and then get to some of those questions, make sure that I grabbed everything that I wanted to show there. So very exciting stuff, definitely steps in the right direction. This is one of the things that people ask for all the time. Is intercompany transaction going to be available in QBO as well? I don't know. I'm assuming at some point, right, QBO is playing catch up to desktop, and it would be great if it would catch up for all of us. So I'm not sure about what the timeline is on that. If you have a bill check that is for multiple subsidiaries, you have to create multiple checks. Yes, that's great. That's correct, Michael, right now. And it's not part of the API, so we can't import yet. And if you're importing, you can just import into both files, right? Can you select the actual company when entering the intercompany bill? For example, there are 3 companies, including the holding attorneys are billing. So I think I showed that, Dawn, where you can select the company. So there, I got to a couple questions there. One thing I also wanted to note for you guys is that when you can reconcile in QuickBooks pretty much any balance sheet account, which is something that's unique to QuickBooks. So if I had due from Subsidiary 4 here, and I'm reconciling it to whatever, 5,000, I can also, oh look, 5,000 was right. I can also come into my Subsidiary 4 and reconcile my due from subsidiary account to negative 5,000, right? Might be on this side, and say check off. Okay, I did it the wrong way. This one should be 5,000. Continue. So check off and reconcile now. You can go in and reconcile these accounts basically, right, to each other, which is also something that people ask for frequently in a lot of my clients that have multiple files. Okay. One thing just to note in here, so if you do delete that journal entry in the main file, right, it does not remove it from the holding company file. So that's why those reconciliations that I was just showing are so important, so crucial. Okay. And I think that that's all I wanted to cover with this. So here's that reconciliation. So things to note with this, you can save time by lessening data entry across multiple company files. There's more visibility, right, with multiple company files. There's that visibility. And then the reconciliation step should be more simple as well, right, because you're putting it in one file and it is putting it in the secondary file. So you shouldn't have as much reconciliation to do. Okay, let's go on to our next feature. So this one I think is actually my most favorite. Now what it's going to look like today, not as exciting as it's going to be, I've seen the future states too. but I'm going to go ahead and close out of my sub for company file, by the way. But this one's super exciting to me. Okay, so I think so intercompany we've been asking for forever, right? This is also one that we've been asking for forever, which is categorization of our items. So you guys can see in my items list right here, I have A as a header item, and I have all these sub items under A. And it gets super complicated because people then will choose a header item when they're selling things, and we don't want them to, or they'll receive against a header item instead of the sub item, right? These header items have always been a pain for us. So what they've added is a way for us to organize our items list without having to do headers and subs. So the first thing is under preferences, you have to enable this. It's under items and inventory. They added a little thing down here to activate categories is what they're calling them. Okay. Once you've activated categories, then on your items, when you edit your items, you have another field right here called category, and you can choose which category you want them to go into. So it's just like an extra list. It's almost like a class list, but just for items. The level of complexity that you can have is you can go 4 levels deep. So I could go add a new one, and I could say, you know, yellow, under, bananas. I can go 4 levels deep, right? So right now this is showing 3. I can go 1 more deep, which is unusual because in most lists inside of QuickBooks, you can go 5 levels deep, but for categories, it's going to be 4. Okay. So we're going to be able to organize our items list and hopefully get rid of our header items. Now I say that this is super exciting. I think it's very exciting because those header items and the, other, get rid of all those other things that are on our reports. I think it's really exciting, but it's not really super exciting yet because there isn't a way to mass enter. So for somebody starting fresh, we want to definitely make sure to set them up, but there is not like paste from Excel. It's not part of the API, so you can't import it using Transaction Pro Importers. It's not yet. Something like that. I can't come in here and customize my columns and add categories yet being the key. I have been told in a couple releases some of these things will make it easier to use. But it's good to know that it's there. Clients are asking about it. People are asking about it. If you're setting up a new file or if you just have a few items, pretty easy to utilize. The output of it too currently is just a couple reports that it's showing up on. So if I go into my inventory valuation summary report, right, you can see here it shows which categories they're part of. Okay. You can add it to some reports. I did not see it in the filters of reports yet. Again, I expect all these things are coming. So step in the right direction. Is it functional? Not fully, but it's good to know that it's there. Okay. So again, eliminate headers and subs, hopefully get rid of other on items-based reporting, and then improve organization of items lists. Let's go into our next feature. Okay, next feature, require serial and lot numbers. So again, this is QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum, Diamond, and Accountants Editions. If you go in under Edit and Preferences, you're going to get a sneak peek for the next feature too. But under Advanced Inventory Settings now, they see serial lot number. Ignore this. It says expiration date. We're going to talk about in a second. A surprise, we have expiration date too this year. But they added this feature, this third bullet point down below here, make lot number mandatory. So I have lot numbers enabled. Before it was alert me or don't alert me. Now we can say make it mandatory. Okay. Now notice when I say make it mandatory, it allows me to also make the expiration date mandatory. So it makes it mandatory on item receipts, invoices, sales receipts, adjustments. The other thing is down below here, they added if it doesn't exist, alert me or don't alert me. So that's also something. It's just going to do a pop-up like, hey, that lot number doesn't exist, which is weird because I would expect that you wouldn't just type in a lot number. You would choose from the list. But anyway, awareness that grays that out as well. Okay. So requiring serial and lot numbers. So you can see here, I'm not going to take you guys through this, but it's just, lot number can't be blank. You have to put a lot number in. Before it would just give you a warning. Lot number can't be blank. You have to put it in. So this will help you to improve the quantity on hand by lot number data. It'll eliminate after the fact cleanup, which we have to do a lot of times, go in and fix, like lot numbers missing, serial number as well, but most of my clients use lot number. And also provide better tracking for warranties or recalls, right? Because it's required now. Okay, next feature, expiration dates. Oh, we're already here. So expiration dates are something that we have also been asked for years in this space, tracking expiration dates, right? I want to be able to put an expiration date in. Historically, what we've taught customers to do is we've said, put in the lot number and the expiration date in the same field. That way you can see it, because they should go hand in hand, right? The lot number, whatever lot this is, the expiration date, they should be the same, right? They should, you shouldn't have a lot with multiple expiration dates, I would expect. Okay. So where can we show expiration date? Purchase transactions, sales transactions, inventory, build assemblies. You can make it mandatory, don't alert me or alert me. Okay. All right. So on the individual item level as well, so I want to make sure you guys see this on the individual item level. So we have lot numbers and expiration date now field, right? So before you just had, do I want to track lot numbers for this item? Now you have lot number and expiration dates for this item, right? I can turn it off if I don't want to track lot numbers for this particular item. Okay. The other thing that you have for this in cleanup is in paste from Excel. We do have columns down below here for, do you want to track lot number? If lot number doesn't exist, what do we want to do? Do we want to activate lot number? So you can do this in mass. So I have that field added to my list over here. So I want to activate lot numbers. I can say no and copy this down. So all of them have lot numbers turned off, and then just go turn lot numbers on for the one I want to have them on for. Same with expiration date. Okay, if I say yes, I don't want to track expiration date for these. Most of them I can say no over here, and then just enable it for the ones that I want to enable it for, the few. Okay, so you can use this to clean up. Okay, so moving forward in our slide deck here. So where does this come into play? When I go in and I enter a bill, so vendors enter bills, I have my items tab, and I can put in an item, 12. I put in a lot number, and then I can put in an expiration date. Okay. You do have to have a lot number put in for expiration date to be selected. Okay, you have to put in the lot number first, and then you can put in expiration date. All right. So I'm actually going to use the same item on this and put it in for a couple different lot numbers and a couple different expiration dates. Oops, 222. Oh, this one, because I switched it, it changed. And okay, so I can save this on here. One thing to note is that, so this is on a bill here. When I go in and do a check, if I were to do a check, the lot number field is here, but the expiration date number is not here. Okay, so we'd be filtering these things through bills. Where is this useful? Like, so where can I use this data, right? Oh, on a check and a credit card, right? They have no expiration date on those two. Okay. When I come in to do my inventory adjustments, and I say total, if I adjust my lot number and I select that item that we were just using, right, I can see which lot numbers we have, what quantity on hand we have. Oh, I'm using it somewhere else. Let me close out of there. And then I can see the expiration date. It'll populate the expiration date for me if it has an expiration date tied to that lot number. That's nice. So I'd be able to see in here which ones are expiring. Now, it'd be great if I could go the other way, right? Show me everything that's expiring prior to 9/7 so I can adjust it out. But this is just what it has for now. You also have it on the inventory build assembly screen, so you can have expiration dates there as well. Okay. So I have in here, when would somebody use a lot number? That was a question that somebody was asking here. So lot numbers are oftentimes used like in makeup, right? Lotions, makeups. They're used in food manufacturing. They're used in beers, alcohol manufacturing, drinks. We see them used like with some of the COVID testing customers that we've had over the last couple of years. People are creating COVID tests. Those things expire, so medical practices, etc. So where can I see this? They still don't have a great report for quantity on hand by lot number. Excuse me. But if I come into the inventory center and I choose a particular item, I can see quantity on hand by lot number and I can see the expiration dates right there. So this would be the best practice for us to go through. I mean, hopefully you don't have thousands of items with lot numbers and expiration dates on them, but this would be the best practice for us to go in, run through our numbers like once a month and see what is expiring, what lots are expiring, which ones do we need to get rid of, do we need to discount them, you know, things like that. So very exciting for those of us who need it. We've been asking for it for a long time. We're super excited to have that one here. So it does track expiration dates for lots or serial numbers. You have the data at the point of sale. Oh, I didn't show that part, but you do when you select, right? When I come into the file and I say I'm going to create a sales order for that item, right? I can choose which lot number to pull from, and it will fill in the expiration date for me there. Right, so I have that at the point of sale as well. And then you can see which lots are expiring soon. All right. Our next feature, I'm going to push through some of these because these ones are a little bit more minor. So this is available in all versions of QuickBooks 2023. So it's called the Cashflow Hub. So it will come up here in your icon bar as a default, but it's under the company side as well. So this is, I think, a first stab at cash flow forecasting, right? I have a lot of talks about what does cash flow mean to customers, and so everybody, a lot of people think of cash flow statement, but when small businesses talk about cash flow, right, they're talking about actual cash flowing, cash in and cash out. So in this cash flow hub, this is one of those ones that you have to refresh again. Always good to note that. You can select which accounts you want to see. This is just quick access for accounts on the side. The cash that it's looking at are bank accounts only. You can select, right, what does my cash flow look like over a period of time? Okay, so it's just good for, so this is historical. This is a look back. How does my cash trend? Down below here, we have money in and money out. Now notice that if I say last 12 months here, or you can also choose on money in this month, this quarter as an example. When I say this quarter and money in, it does not default money out to this quarter as well. So you have to make sure that you're looking at the same data at the same time. So we have upcoming payments, money in, upcoming receivables, things that have been paid recently. Down below here, money out, upcoming payments that we need to pay out, money that has been paid out recently, any overdue bills, open invoices. So it's just a little quick hub, right? One of these centers for us to see what's been going on with our with our cash. Okay. So something to explore, something new to check out with customers. Go ahead and push through these slides. One of the things too is that on the paid section, you just want to be aware. I did try to under here, right? So it shows you what has been paid, right? Similar to paid over here, it kind of shows you what, like paid how. Paid bills by check, paid bills by credit card, payroll, and then we have, and this is only paid bills. This is not checks. This is not credit card transactions, right? Bills paid by check or credit card. Up here on the money in section, it has sales receipts here, even though I have sales receipts turned off in the file. So I thought that was kind of weird. but you can see also. So just quick summaries of information. That's neat, right? Paid invoices, credit memos that have been utilized. And then under other payments here, these are partial payments, overpayments. Okay, that's showing up there. All right, let's go into the next one. So payments links feature, I can't really show this, and I'm sorry, it's kind of looks blurry here, so hopefully you guys can see it on the other page. But basically, we talked about payment links last year, and one of the things that came out of it, right? So this is where you can create a link for a customer to pay you, and it doesn't have to be tied to a transaction, right? Like you don't have to have an invoice. You can go in. You don't have to have an invoice created. You can like create an estimate, send a payment link to the customer to pay a certain amount of money. They can pay you online, and it will put it in there as a negative accounts receivable for future use. So one of the things they added this year is they added the Payments Link Center. In this Payment Link Center, it tells you what's the customer name and what status is the payment link in, right? We sent it, they paid it, it's pending, it's deposited. So they added this little bit of help for us. Another new feature is they added the Node card reader, right? So it accepts Apple Pay, Google Pay, and this is in all versions of QuickBooks Desktop. The Cashflow Hub, the Payments Link, and this are in all versions of QuickBooks Desktop. So you can accept Apple Pay, Google Pay, EMV chip, debit and credit cards, right? So you go to the customer sales receipt, or I'm sorry, receive payments, and then it'll pull up and you can do contactless pay here. So that was added. This is another feature. It's in all versions of QuickBooks Desktop, which is track vehicle mileage. So this is one that I'm not sure how many people track their vehicle mileage here, but it's got some cool things. So if I come in here to preferences and go down to time and expenses and under company preferences, we have the basic version of track mileage and we have the advanced version of track mileage. Okay, so what I'm talking about is the advanced version now. When we go in and we are, once we have that set up, we can go into track vehicle mileage. Now I'm going to show what it looks like here. I'm not going to have time to flip on over to what it looks like on my phone, but you can also do this on the app, the QuickBooks app. So where we talked about last year, you can scan bills, credit card receipts, same thing. They can enter vehicle mileage, and it looks very similar to what it's going to look like here. There's a picture of it in the attachment if you guys want to download that. So we come in here, you have your business mileage. I can manage mileage rates. So if I click into this, right, I can see the effective date of the different rates and the source that it came from. I can add my own rates if I want to. I can add a trip. Okay, so we can do select start date, end date. Most of these look very similar to what we had before. The purpose of the trip, the employee email, right? So this is how it's tied to the employee. If you have them set up to use your QuickBooks app, right? It'd be what employee email they were using. If it's billable, reimbursable. So this is a little different now. So starting location, I can put in and it picks up, right? It's pulling from Google the location. I can put in the ending location and it doesn't have to be an address. I can put in San Antonio Zoo and it picks up my address for me. And then it calculates the distance. Now, of course, calculates distance like that, and it would be nice if we never had to, you know, take a wrong turn or anything like that, right? But it will calculate the distance for you. You can also put in starting odometer reading and ending reading, and it'll calculate the distance for you. It'll back into it as well, and then you can add the vehicle. So a couple little changes there. What it looks like on the device, right, is right here. The same thing, trip date, starting location, ending location, what's the distance, purpose of the trip, is it billable or not. And then it'll come into your file and you can approve it or reject it. It's a pretty cool new feature. I don't know how many people track mileage in here. Okay, another one, improved banking. I can't show this to you, unfortunately. Again, there always has a whole bunch of new features that I can't end up showing, but I want you guys to have awareness of this, okay? And the reason I can't show it is because I don't have one of these account types. I set up my linking to Amex. Amex is one of those 26 coming soon. So it's not one of the ones here, but I don't have a Chase, Discover, or Capital One account. But what's happening is that with the linking to QuickBooks Desktop, so all of the banks or the banking institutions go through a different API than what the third-party applications like WebGility or TrueCommerce or QuickBooks Time or whatever go through. They go through a different API. And what they did was they switched and they gave the banking institutions access to use REST API, which we talked about last year, right? Which is a push on a schedule as opposed to always having to hit refresh. So with this new access for the banks, it will, when you go into your bank feeds, it will automatically download every 24 to 48 hours is what they said. I don't know, it must be up to the bank to decide how often they're going to push it out to all of their customers because there isn't a setting inside of QuickBooks for us to say automatically update every 24 hours. It's going to be the bank that tells when to update. Now you can always go in and refresh in the banking bank feeds as normal. So this is kind of a little nod at QBO, right? Because that's one of the things that they can do is they have those bank feeds automatically updated. So I expect to see, my guess is that maybe the time frame on this is going to improve. That's not going to be every 24 to 48 hours. Maybe it's going to be more often. But pretty cool seeing that REST API put to use. Another little feature just to be aware of. So this is with all QuickBooks Desktop customers that have assisted payroll. Which is kind of strange because assisted payroll is now only sold through QSP channel, which is people like us, resellers, value-added resellers of Intuit. So if your customers want to take advantage of this, but basically Intuit partnered with Guideline to create a 401k plan, right, that can be managed through payroll. So again, it's only with assisted payroll. And they have a couple different options. They have a couple different options for plans that you can have set up. Okay, but with everything QuickBooks, having it go through Intuit usually lowers the price for clients. So it's definitely worth taking a look at if they are looking for a 401k plan. The other thing that was added, and this is all versions of QuickBooks as well, this was added in late 2021 to anybody who has payroll, was the income and employment verification. So if we go into company preferences, I can't have it turned on, of course, because I don't have this payroll set up in here. So if we go into preferences here, you actually have a new section called benefits and HR. And there are only company preferences, right? So workers' comp is now here. And then we have income and employment verification, and you can come in and opt out of this. Okay. So why people are using it, what's the benefit, right? So it started in fall 2021, and it was included in all payroll subscriptions. This is desktop and online. You can go in and opt out if you want to. But why are they doing it? It makes it easier for employees to get verification services for loans, rental applications, mortgages. So if any of you have ever filled out those employment verification forms for your employees, they can be kind of tedious. A lot of times they're different. There's like different information needed. You have to go into payroll and gather a whole bunch of data. And so basically what this is doing is they partner with Equifax so that that data is already in Equifax and the employees can use Equifax to supply the employment and income verification, so you don't have to go fill out those forms. That's the intent. All right. All right, guys, that's all I have for you this year. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going through a couple of questions. If you guys have some more questions for me, I'll hang out for a minute.